Welcome to another episode of Goal Horns and Fight Songs. I'm your host, as always, Wes, on Twitter at Painted Bronco, and joining me once again is my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing really well. How are you, Wes?
Pretty good. We have a guest joining us once again. This guest is the 2008-2009 Paul Saunders Plus Minus Award winner, a 2011-2012 KOHA Grinder Perseverance Award winner, 2012 CCHA Championship in his 4 years as a player with the Broncos. He's a former head coach for the Colorado Rampage, assistant coach for Hampton Roads Whalers. He was a grad assistant at the University of Ohio, and in 2017 he made his return to the Broncos as the director of player development, and he is a current assistant coach, JJ Crew. How are you doing, JJ?
I'm good, Wes. Thanks for having me on, Mike. Nice to meet you as well. And yeah, thanks for having me.
So we like to do things
nice to meet you.
A little different. Mike's going to let you know what we're doing next.
Yeah, so to start every conversation that we have with any guest that comes on our podcast, fortunately or unfortunately for them, we like to pepper them with 1T questions. And it's kind of like warming your goalie up at the end of the game. You know, you're peppering them, get them going. So a couple quick hitters, just short answers. And I have the first one. Do you have a go-to goal song that you would have anytime you were playing that you wish you could have come over the PA system anytime you scored a goal? Kind of like a baseball walk-up song.
Yeah, no, I'm terrible when it comes to songs and music. Who sings them? All I know is if it catches my ear and I can get into a groove, I like it. I couldn't tell you who sang it or what the name of it is. So, oh man, I don't know. There's some good ones. I feel like, oh man, the Edmonton's goal song that they have when they score, I love that one. That would be awesome. I couldn't tell you the name of it, but yeah, there's nothing. I never really, I guess, thought about that, but there's certainly songs as a player we played in the locker room to go out onto the ice that got you jacked up. But yeah, that's a good question. Tough one for me to answer because I'm terrible when it comes to songs.
Who was your favorite athlete growing up?
Favorite athlete, Tiger Woods. I know it's not a hockey player, but from a hockey standpoint, I wore the number 10 because of Pavel Bure. I loved him as a hockey player. And thought he was awesome, fast, and just a great player to look up to. So that's why part of the reason why I wear the number. The other reason why I wear the number is because my grandfather, that was his number. So those are kind of the two reasons why I wore the number 10. But athlete wise, just from a whole across the board, Tiger Woods for sure was someone I grew up watching in his prime. On a Sunday with his red shirt on with my dad, just sitting there watching him win a major. It seemed like every weekend. I still wanted to get, to 18 and pass Jack and all that. Just obviously with injuries and things that have happened over his time. I don't know if he's going to get there, but he was someone for sure. Just a competitor, a winner. Like he just had ice in his veins and something that certainly I admired for sure.
I mean, he still has that to this day. He might not have the skill, but he definitely still has that to this day.
Yeah, for sure.
Next one, boneless or bone-in wings, and which flavor?
Boneless for sure, 100%. No question about it. I like the Asian zing from Buffalo Wild Wings. Love that sauce. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Adult chicken nuggets. There's a box of donuts sitting there, and you open the box. What donut are you absolutely hoping it is in the box?
Probably just your basic glazed donut. Pretty plain. Yep.
Sweetwater's has a great plain glazed donut. It's the best one.
Yeah, I'm not a big, obviously breakfast wise, I'm over at the rink at that time and we got breakfast catered in for our guys and everything. So I'm avid donut guy, but I feel like I need to take a stop over at Sweetwater's here soon for sure.
It was the best when they were open 24/7. Come back from that late night, stop in, grab a donut on your way home. That's the best.
Yeah, I was more of a Menace joint guy, but
Yep, Mennos was the.
yeah,
Hey, they were right next to each other, so you just do both.
yeah, I guess I know. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier,
We had
but
I had a buddy. He ordered Mena's and somehow convinced the Mena's delivery driver to walk over to Sweetwater's and also bring us a dozen donuts.
that's cool.
Best delivery ever.
Oh, man, you guys are doing it right.
I definitely had a third one, but honestly, Wes, I can't. I texted you this. I forgot what my third one was, and I can't find what I messaged you when I had it. So you probably have a third one
I can look it up while I
for
answer.
JJ here.
While he's answering my third one, yeah. So what is a
Yeah.
standout memory from any point in your hockey career? So it could be Pines all the way up to, last year or whatever.
Well, sorry, say that again.
A standout memory from your hockey career.
Standout memory from my hockey career would obviously be the CCHA championship. That was big time. Something that hadn't been had only been done one other time in our program's history. Um, we came so far in a 4 year span. Like we were at the bottom of the barrel and got all the way to the top. So I got to see the lowest of lows and then the highest of highs in my college career. And winning a championship at any level, I think is something that sticks with you forever. And the guys and the bond that you create with those guys that you won it with lasts a lifetime. So that was definitely probably I'd say the most memorable moment in my hockey career for sure. Yeah.
That was such a stacked team. Like so many of those guys are still playing at the highest level. Witkowski just competed for an AHL championship.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just on the phone with Derek Rail. He was in the back. Whatever was in the background yesterday, I believe. So I told him, had a great run and everything. He was obviously still kind of disappointed about how things ended for sure. But yeah, guys that I stay in touch with to this day, and really good friends and lifetime friends for sure.
Then thankfully, Wes, he did look it up for me. And the last question that we have is, what other sports did you play growing up? And in hockey, what other positions did you play other than what you played at Western?
Yeah, no, I grew up playing baseball. I'm from California, so baseball. My dad was a ball player. My mom was a softball player. So it just seemed like baseball was kind of the first initial sport, especially, I mean, it's a pretty popular one in California. So I grew up playing that and then transitioned into ice. And then at some point I had to, choose one, obviously, just financially. My parents weren't able to do all of them, but I chose hockey. I fell in love with it. And to this day, I remember that moment when I told my dad that I wanted to go that direction because I knew how difficult and hard it was for him probably to hear that, even though he was super supportive and excited and about going the hockey route too. But yeah, I mean, those were probably the two I played like competitively, recreationally. We had a hoop in my front yard, so basketball, soccer, you name it, tennis, golf, obviously was a big one. But that was all for fun and something that I think from a development standpoint was good for me. And I think I tell a lot of kids that I'm, recruiting, or the families of kids I'm recruiting, that, play multiple sports if you can. And even if it's just, recreationally, then do it, because I think it goes a long way in developing skills for hockey, if that's the one that you are pursuing. And then the second part of that question was, sorry, refresh my memory here. Was
any other positions other than the one that you played?
Yeah, I mean, center was the main position. But as you get into junior ranks and even college for that matter, they slot you in on the wing, left wing, right wing. So all the three forward spots, left, right, center, I played. I was the most comfortable down the middle. Yeah, I didn't really try much on the defensive side or in that. That's for sure. I wasn't playing goalie.
It
um,
takes a special breed to play goalie for sure.
and you know, sorry, Wes, this isn't typical norm, but um, you mentioned recruiting and the kids that you're recruiting, telling them to play multiple sports. How important is that into the hockey situation? Because I played tennis. My tennis coach, he liked basketball players like myself for our footwork. He also liked hockey players for their hands. And growing up in northern Minnesota, hockey players are kind of the thing. Um, how important is that to you to have a well-rounded athlete coming into your program?
Yeah, I mean, as far as recruiting a player, I'm not recruiting him, based on the fact that he played multiple sports necessarily. I think individually, as you're developing and growing up as a kid, I think there's a lot of other sports that translate and can help you. Obviously, you're going to excel in one. You might excel in multiple ones, but it's hard nowadays to play multiple sports in college or whatever, right? So it's really hard even at a young age to play multiple sports. It seems like it's so sport specific, like it's one thing at a time year round now, and summer leagues and summer hockey and training and everything. So it's really hard to deviate, I guess, from developing in the one specific sport. But I just feel like personally in my development, it was beneficial for me to break away. The roller hockey was a big thing in California, and that's how I started. And then I went to ice, and ice was obviously the more, um, you know, the more competitive one, the more the one that was going to get you on to the next level, so to speak. More options going that route, but I just felt like in the summertime playing roller hockey was totally more laxed, and it helped hone my hands and slow the game down, and it's a way different game than ice is, and but I also did the baseball and the soccer and the golf and everything like that. I think it helped me recharge for the upcoming ice season. Um, and it didn't get me burnt out, I guess, so to speak. It was doing something different and taking my mind off of maybe a hard season or whatever long season, and I could just be with other friends that I went to school with, because a lot of my friends I grew up with didn't play hockey, right, in school. So like I had other friends over here, and then I had my hockey friends, and it just kind of changed some, it was a nice change up throughout the years, and when I come back for a new ice season, it was kind of a refreshing to step back onto the ice, and it made me miss it even more. So I don't know. That's me personally, but I get how things are today, and it's so one sport driven. It seems like you gotta stay on it year round to really get to where you want to go, I guess.
I grew up doing a
Right, and
bunch of different.
that's kind of
I was gonna say I grew up doing a
uh,
bunch of different sports too. Like I did wrestling, taekwondo, baseball, and football. And like baseball and football were almost back to back, but it was nice to get that break. But there's still like the being around a group of people or working as a team is one thing, and then I kind of did a couple individual sports too, where it's you learn to depend on yourself or like make certain decisions, and I definitely felt they all worked together to make me a better player no matter what field I was on for sure, and just have a different mind space or work through different problems differently than people who were so focused on just seeing football problems or just seeing like hockey problems and only having that one sport to draw from to create your sport IQ. Whereas if you kind of play different sports, you got this idea of this might work here, or I've done this in this sport, and maybe the footwork can translate to maybe not necessarily hockey, but like between sports too. So I definitely see
Oh, for
the
sure.
aspect of mixing them in a bit. Sorry, Mike, didn't mean to
Yeah.
step on your toes there, bud.
no, you're fine. And the only thing that I was going to say is, JJ, you're not the only. You're actually the second guest that has come from a roller hockey background, and then there's also Jason Tucker, who plays for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sad that we lost him with the Wild, but that also develops another skill set in a hockey player. Ethan Frank, he talked about that on our podcast, what, 3-4 weeks ago, something like that. And just the difference that makes it a completely different sport. And so you're talking about recruiting these kids coming from the roller hockey background. I think that gives you another perspective too. Like they understand a whole different world of hockey coming into the game that you're trying to play.
Yeah, no doubt, 100%. And it shows like the hand-eye coordination that maybe I picked up with baseball, golf. A lot of kids are like playing. I was in LA last weekend and doing a camp, and they had lacrosse shirts, or they brought their lacrosse poles to the rink. So like that's another sport that kind of translates a little bit. So I think it makes for a better hockey player, for sure, and or can help anyways. I encourage guys to do that or play multiple sports when they're younger, and if they can afford it, obviously. Um, at the end of the day, when I'm recruiting, I'm watching you on the ice, and getting to know you. I'm not basing my decision on whether I want you to come to Western or not if you played like 6 or 7 sports or not. But obviously we want good people and guys that fit our mold and our culture, and obviously being a good hockey player too. So.
Well, closed circuit. If you want to get terrible hockey players at Western, UMD would not mind.
Oh man, that's funny.
So you mentioned growing up in California. How does a California kid end up in the bottom southwest corner of Kalamazoo playing for the Broncos?
Yeah, no, the path. Everyone. That's another thing. I felt like I was speaking to. We had some seminars set up this past weekend in LA. It was Brett Beebe's camp. So he was a former Bronco. He's a California guy. Was on that championship team.
Yeah, you guys had a lot of California guys on that team too. I think.
Well, we had 7, and we were talking about it.
Jesus.
We're proud of where we come from, and Andy Murray, when he was coaching that team, and he was coming from LA with the Kings and whatnot. Obviously not from there, but spend some time there. And when I got back on the coaching staff, and I'm like, Andy, where'd all the California kids go? Like let's go get some more Cali kids. And there's some good hockey, good young talent out there and they're doing such a great job. They have so many good coaches out there, and that played at high levels, whether professionally or Division One, and Beeves is doing a great job down there, educating families on the college path, and getting schools to come out there and help and ask questions, and have some resources for these families too, because it's you're out there on an island a little bit, somewhat, and to get exposed and to to kind of really know what it's all about. It's hard. I didn't know what college hockey, really was. I didn't even know what Western Michigan was when I was getting recruited by them. So it's all of what you see on TV. If you're a hockey fan growing up in California, you're familiar with the Frozen Forum, you watch it, but you're only seeing those teams that are on TV during the tournament, unless you're buying the packages and whatnot they have going on now. But for all the different leagues, but for me, I grew up playing youth hockey. I played for the same coach. He was a great coach, good family friend. I still talk to him to this day. But we played with different teams. Like he kind of bounced around the different teams out there. So it seemed like I was playing for a number of teams, or being a suitcase, I guess, so to speak. But it was because I wanted to play for that coach, and I think that's a big part, is playing for someone who. That's a big piece in recruiting as well. And players that commit to your school, a lot of the decision goes behind the coaching staff. So and what kind of relationship you have and bond you have with them. So I had a great bond with him, and I stuck with him for a while, and then got to the point where I kind of had to move away. And at 16 I moved to Colorado, played for the Rampage, graduated high school there, and had good experience there, and was able to get drafted in the USHL, and played in Lincoln for the Lincoln Stars for a year. And then Western, Chris Brooks came to one of my games throughout the year and offered me a scholarship to come to Western, and came on a visit and fell in love with the campus and the place and the people, and that's when I got more familiarized with who they were and what league we were in, what teams we were playing. For me, it was like everything I'd ever worked for. Um, I was that right there in front of me, and I always wanted to play at the highest level I could and against the best players that I could, and felt like this being in the CCHA at that time, playing against the schools that were in it, was going to be a great opportunity for me to accomplish that. And yeah, so that was kind of my path and how I got to Kalamazoo. Um, so
So playing in the CCHA and then transitioning, like you weren't here for the actual transition to the NCHC, but you're seeing it now. Like, how do you think those two leagues kind of compare and like take away from each other, like the differences in the comparisons? Because it looked like we were trying to be more of a smaller, speedy team within the CCHA, but then like the first couple of years of the NCHC was like, how do we get bigger and compete with these just behemoths out in Denver and in North Dakota?
Basically the teams that are coming from the WCHA, because what you have CC, BU, UMD, St. Cloud, um, North Dakota, 5 out of the 8 teams coming from the WCHA. How do you compete with them?
yeah, I mean, I to your point, like I wasn't here through that transition, or what the coaching staff, I guess, was thinking, or what kind of players they were recruiting, smaller guys, faster guys, bigger guys, slower guys, whatever. So I mean, I know that there was teams in the CCHA that were really good teams, really good programs. There's teams that were in the WCHA that are really good teams and really good programs. And so I think for us, we wanted, I think, Kathy Beauregard, our AD at the time, did a great job of you know, helping us get into that league and solidifying our place in that league. And then from there, certainly trying to be able to compete with those teams on week, nightly, weekend basis. Like, it's you gotta you gotta go and recruit and find your identity. And Andy, Murray was obviously there for 10 years and did a great job. And it felt like we formed I guess, an identity of being hard and miserable to play against, for sure. And maybe that brings bigger guys. Certainly helps, for sure, but speed is always a factor. And I think our criteria when we're looking at who we're recruiting, it's good people, guys that work really hard, extremely hard, guys that are competitive, want to play on the inside, can make plays at a high level, and fast pace. So it's a fast league, and it's won a lot of championships in its existence. And I think part of that's because it's got a combination of a lot of things: speed, toughness, size. I mean, and we get to experience that every single week, and so you're ready when it comes, championship weekends and for the conference championship, and then the tournament. You're well prepared. You're playing against the good teams every week. So, um, but yeah, no, I definitely would have liked to have been there for that transition. I look now of our team that won it, and then the teams and the players now, and like I think Beebs or someone was asking me out in LA, what have you seen different? I'm like, it's just the game's just way faster. I thought we had a fast team. I was a quote unquote faster player on that team. Trevor Elias was really fast. Squires was fast. We had some, I thought, some pretty quick and good skaters, but it's like everybody's a good skater now and fast. So you just got to keep up for sure. But yeah.
So what then would you say would be your biggest challenge as a coach at Western Michigan, where you guys, I did not want to face you guys as a fan myself. I did not want to face Western in the championship of the NCHC this year. I wanted, like, I knew I was going to enjoy it, but I did not want to face your team because you matched up so well with UMD. But what's the biggest challenge for recruiting when the fifth seed in the conference with UMD has won 2 out of the last 3 national championships, only losing to UMass, who won the previous one. Like, what does that look like for a coach trying to, I guess, get up to par with them? Not to say that you weren't, because obviously you were throughout the year, but to better them in a sense, better UMD and outsmart Scott Sandlin and the top of the NCHC.
I mean, yeah, I don't know I don't know if I could pinpoint what the one challenge is. I think every night it's a challenge. We have unbelievable coaches in our league and teams and players, and I think that's what you want. You want to, it's what you kind of lace them up for, is you want to play against the best. And we try, I mean, even our non-conference schedule being where we're at, we had Michigan last year. And, we played Ohio State in a preseason game. It was a potential tournament team there. They had a good team. Like there's, we have Notre Dame in our backyard, and I already said Ohio State, but like Michigan State in our back. Like we have really good teams non-conference wise that prepare us to throughout the whole course of the season. And it's just tough. Yeah. I don't know what one thing that I can put my finger on, but you just know you got to be prepared every weekend. So it drives us. I think that's what we live for. I think we want to be challenged. That's the part that I love about my job is I know I got to be on my A game and prepare our guys mentally and certainly from a X's and O's standpoint for sure. But I think we're strong believers in what we bring to the table and what we do, and if we play our game to the best of our ability and do what we're supposed to do, then we can beat anybody. And I think that was the mentality we had certainly last year, and we were never out of a game, and certainly that showed in the Colgate game and weekend where we were down 5. So that having that early adversity certainly helped us throughout the whole season. We've had battles with Duluth. We've had battles with North Dakota, Denver. Like, it's challenging going on the road in our league. I'd say that maybe that's why we fight so hard to get home ice in the first round, because it's big time, especially for us and our fans and the Lunatics. Like to your point, like teams don't want to play us. They also don't want to play us in Boston. So that's an extremely important piece and what we fight for all year long, because we know how challenging it can be to go on the road in our league. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know Wes has another question, but that's one thing that we constantly talk about is the NCHC as far as the conference goes. Everybody can beat anybody on any given weekend, and you look at the playoffs last year in the first round. Colorado College, they went 2-1 with North Dakota, both games. It doesn't matter who it is, who you're playing. You have to be up on your game every single week that you play. And that's what makes it so much fun for us fans. Like Wes and I, we're both just rubes and we just love watching the game. But it makes it so much fun because everybody has to be on top of their game.
Yeah, no, 100%. You're not wrong there. And it's hard. These are college kids and young men that, it's sometimes, you're going to have an off game. And, so it's definitely challenging trying to get them, prepared every weekend and stay on top of it and trying to sustain it, certainly for the duration of the season. So it's a long season. Hockey season goes, pretty long, right? So starting in the summertime and training. And yeah, so there's going to be ups and downs throughout. You just got to stay in control and stay poised and confident I think, first, taking over the program this year is something that I learned from him for being on the bench is, the calmness that he approaches everything with, and being confident. And I think it certainly was something our players took to. And I think I had a question about the Michigan series when we beat them at Yost. What was the feeling on the bench, during that game? And it was so calm, and we just kept playing shift after shift after shift, and we didn't get too excited. We knew that how good they were, and they could come back at any moment. Same with playing against Denver and all these teams in our league. Like they're never down, and so you got to play complete 60, and making sure that we're poised and confident throughout is really key.
I know I was shitting a brick in the NCHC championship game because I was there at the X, and yeah, I was not confident until that final buzzer sounded, and we won. I was like, "Yay, we did it!"
No doubt, for sure.
You and Pat both played for Western, and you've come back to coach at Western, and you've coached other places. Is there like a different feeling to coaching somewhere you've played, or like a different sense of ownership when the program's doing well, or even a little more ownership when things don't necessarily go your way as a coach when you've
Yeah,
been there before as a player too?
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I want to put, all wherever I'm coaching, I want to, I want to put all my time and energy into that program, making our guys, the best, men they can be, and best, people and players they can be. So that's motivation in itself wherever I'm at, and something that my dad, always taught me growing up. So, um, but certainly being at Western and playing here, there is a little bit of an added, um, you know, motivation. You certainly don't want to let the program that gave you so much down. And yeah, and even the people that have given me the opportunity to coach, whether it be, Andy in my, getting here my first time, and then first, giving me another opportunity to stay on board when he took over. Like, you don't want to let guys like that down, because playing for them, they were great coaches, and I learned a lot from them, and they put in so much time and energy and effort into your development. And when you have someone doing that for you, it's really tough to not show up to practice and give them your best, right? So uh, yeah, it's definitely, yeah, this program means a lot to me, and it's certainly something that drives me for sure every day, that I don't want to let the people that have given me the opportunity down, for sure, and this program down, for sure.
So, kind of going off that, and you may have been asked this before, and I apologize if you have, but you went right from playing to coaching, and that's kind of something that I've done. But when did you realize that coaching was more your calling than actually playing the game of hockey, and that you want to help others develop and make sure that they can be the best version, Jesus, the best version of the hockey player that they can be. Mine was basketball or tennis. Just helping kids move along. When did you realize that?
Um, Shoot. It's a good question. Obviously every player doesn't, want to or doesn't think about coaching. They want to play in the National Hockey League.
Yep.
So I guess I realized that wasn't going to happen after I graduated. And then the coaching thing, like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to be a hockey player, right? So, but I did know that, like, I obviously asked myself, like, do I want to continue to play, in the minor leagues, and just, for a few years, and maybe go over to Europe or try some things, or should I just, start my life? And I think I was content with starting my life and going in a different direction, but I still didn't know what that direction really was. I went to school and got a degree in criminal justice. But I did know that I didn't want to get into law enforcement and do that. So I did know I didn't want to start that path. And being in sports and just being a huge sports fan and not just hockey, I think I wanted to stay involved in it. So it took about 8 or 9 months until the whole coaching stuff really started after post graduating. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's really an exact moment, but as soon as I got into it, I guess that first year in Virginia coaching junior hockey, it was like, all right, this is exactly where I should be. I'm in my comfort zone, and I know this game, and it's given me so much. And I've had so many great coaches that coached me, and I was like, I can be, an impact. I can make an impact, and that's something that I strive for is making an impact with guys, and whatever that might be. But it's really rewarding if I can help them get to where they want to go or reach their goals. Something about that makes it that more special. And I guess for me, having that first coach when I was growing up and sticking with him for 6 years, and that sticks with me because it was like he taught me a lot about myself as a player, and then just how to kind of be a coach in some degree, in some small way. So that means a lot to me, and I think if I can do that, for someone else, then that'd be special. But so yeah.
I think just even when I coached volunteer high school basketball, it there was something special when they succeeded because it was something you did something right. No, Virginia coaching, state of Virginia, because I'm from northern Minnesota, so I want to clarify when I hear Virginia, which team it was.
Yeah, it was the Hampton Road Whalers they're in the USPHL, so it was a
Okay.
tier three junior league. And it's a funny story on how, because I was back home after graduating. I was working in a retail hockey store, living with my parents, and I knew it was just temporary. But I went golfing with an old buddy who I played with. He played at Ferris State, and his dad coached me when I was growing up a little bit too. And he was just like, what are you up to? What do you think? And I was like, well, I'd like to get into coaching. I feel like I want to stay in the sport as much as I can. And then next thing you know, a few days later, his dad's calling me. He's like, I got a coaching opportunity in Virginia with the guy who's the head coach was I played with his brother growing up in California. And he was like, I'm looking for an assistant. Why don't I'll tell the owner, can you send me a resume? And so I sent him a resume, and like a week went by and I didn't hear anything. And I was like, I texted my buddy and I was like, hey, what's going on? Do I have the job? Like, I haven't heard from your boss or the owner. And he's like, he hasn't reached out to you. I'm like, no. And I was like, I'll say something to him. I'm like, okay. And so then finally he calls me and he was like, that kind of the way you started the conversation was like, I was kind of hesitant to call you because I didn't know, like, I felt like you were overqualified for this position. And I didn't know if I could like pay you enough money. And I'm like, what do you mean overqualified? Like, I've never coached a day in my life. I have no idea, experience wise. Like, I didn't have any other than playing. And, but he was like, okay, well, I'm glad to hear that. Blah, blah. And then we talked, details, but I was just looking for a chance, an opportunity to get my foot in the door. And I didn't really care about, the money aspect of it. And, yeah, so it happened to be Virginia. And, it just hockey's taken me so many places. You never know where you're going to go, but, that was a good 2 years there. And we had good teams actually there too. So, it was a lot of fun.
And I just had to ask because Matt Niskanen played for Virginia, my high school's rival. So I'm like, oh, Virginia, Minnesota, or the state of Virginia? I had to ask because I'm just like, oh God, did he coach like up in there was I think it was SPHL or SIJHL team that was about 30 minutes south or east of us. So I'm like, was he considering that Virginia or not? So that was the reason I asked. But I am so happy I asked that because that was a really great answer.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah, I never knew there was really hockey in Virginia either. It was Chesapeake, just outside there, like Norfolk right there. And they had the Admirals, and they were an AHL team at the time. Now they're
Oh yeah,
so, yeah, like there is hockey there for sure. But yeah, it was just kind of surreal, like that it wound up there for sure.
yeah, and especially when that's football and basketball country with
Yeah,
Virginia Tech and
yeah, no doubt.
Duke and North Carolina, just a little bit north of north there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
basketball and football country, and then all of a sudden, hey, what's this thing with guys skating on blades that can kill each other? Okay, all right, we'll do this.
Yeah. it's That's too funny, man.
I think it was either this year or next year is going to be the first year that North Dakota doesn't have a player with some tie to Hextall, the former coach. And so, like, the ability for them to recruit those kind of players or keep those kind of players long term, and then Western having these two senior classes who decided to come back in pretty good numbers. The first class, that Hugh McGinn class and all those guys, Wade Allison and all those guys, and then Ronnie taking what could have been, a clear shot at the pros to stay an extra year. What does that say about what we're building here in Kalamazoo, and kind of how do you build to have a program similar to North Dakota where like guys are recruiting not necessarily to just the coaching staff, but like to the program in general?
Yeah, I mean, it speaks a lot to. I think Kalamazoo is a special place. I think people like I came back right to get into coaching because I loved it. It was a home away from home. There's so many. The hockey, you're in a great spot hockey wise. You've got good coaches with NHL experience. These guys are all wanting to get to that level. So I think that plays a key in their decision as well. The atmosphere with the Lunatics, and then just the day to day, the transfer portal now, like it's crazy. You can lose a kid after 1 year, but it just seems like our guys want to keep coming back year after year, and they find this place to be special as well. But I think a lot of it is, these kids. I think they understand where they're at in their careers for the most part, as far as being ready and getting to the next level. And I think with the Kaiser, he was a 2 year guy who was getting every offer on the table, and he wanted to come back because certainly he loved the place and loved being here and loved being a Bronco, but he also wanted to mature as a player and be ready to make that jump. I think Ronnie, similar things with Ronnie as well. He wanted go another year because he physically wanted to more mature as well and hone his skills and get better. So I think that's part of it, but I think it's the people that we have here. You know, um, you know, not forces, but it. I think people just want to be here. I think from an academic standpoint and the support that they have for the hockey program here, it's second to none. And guys love being here and love coming to the rink every day, and that's a culture that we've built. And yeah, they want to get better. So.
And even
I
kind
think
of more to that, like you were a player who had three different coaches through your 4 years at Western. You were recruited by, or you signed with Calhoun, I think it was. Then Blasha was here 1 year, and then Andy Murray. So like, what do you kind of say to guys who are going through like these coaching changes? The Andy leaving was kind of a last minute thing, but like how do you tell them like it's okay, everything's going to be fine? Like we have coaches that because they've been here for a couple of years, but yes, it's a transition period, but we kind of like know what we're doing still too.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously having First back on board, Andy brought him back on board for a couple of years there as an assistant. So, like, I think guys, that were coming back were familiar with First, and certainly appreciate what he, was able to bring. Um, and so that was, I think, maybe it was certainly a smoother transition for sure. For us, I think going through three coaches in 3 years is never something that you want to go through. But I think that Cole Hain was the first 2 years of my career, and obviously he recruited me, and Chris Brooks recruited me, and um, you know I great guys, people I still talk to. Obviously, Jim's still in the department, and I learned a lot from those guys. And then when Blash came, like and first came, like they changed, the culture. It was we weren't having success, so I think they came in and turned it, right around within a year, and maybe, that was, the expectation. Certainly was. I don't know if it was getting to the conference championship or not in that first year, but we certainly did it, and I think we had the players around to do it, and they certainly added a different feel, a different voice, and something that pushed us to get to that point, and we had great success, and then with success comes uh, coaching changes too. Not just players getting signing contracts, but coaches also getting called up in ranks too. And Blash had an opportunity to go and play and coach professionally, right? So you kind of expect that when you're at performing or playing at the highest levels, and you do well, you're going to get rewarded. And so I think that was something that would we have liked him to stay for sure, but he's got a family of his own, and he had goals too. So and then having Andy was a guy coming from that level and had a ton of success and a ton of just knowledge, and I think we were welcoming to that and excited about that and learning from him. So and then so yeah, I don't like it's I think it's important to build relationships when there's a change. I think immediately you got to, talk to every player, whether it's, certainly as a team, but then even individually, and get to know your players, and making sure everyone's different. So you have to, find out how they tick. And I think that's the important piece, is finding out who they are, and how you can get them to, be at their best every day. And everyone's going to be different. How you communicate that sometimes individually is going to be different too. So I think that's, first and foremost, is something when you're going through a transition with coaches, is you got to get in front of your guys, and you got to set the expectations and get everyone on the same page, and then go from there. But yeah, no, it's an interesting dynamic for sure, and something that happens in sports, not just hockey. Is you're going to have coaching changes all the time. So yeah, you can only focus on what you can control as a player, and that's just bringing your best every day, and doing what's asked, and the rest will take care of itself. So you kind of got to block out the noise, and just put the blinders on and just go to work every day, is kind of the mentality we've just kind of set here and have here. And I think our guys, they have end goals for themselves, right? And so they're not going to let, a coaching change derail that, right? So, yeah.
Well, and that kind of goes, like, as you were talking, it made me think of something where I went to a D3 school. We did have a guy transfer to UMD, but there are a lot of egos. It's the NCHA that St. Scholastica is in. But there are a lot of guys that come in with egos, and they're like, they think they're hot shit and everything. How, as a coach, do you deal with those guys that are, the top point getter, the top D-man, the top goalie in their particular conference, league, whatever you want to call it, when they come into Western Michigan? How do you get them to buy into your system? Because that's something that, Scott Sandlin, he's done it for, and I'm just saying this because I'm a UMD fan, he's done it for years. Western is now getting to do it. North Dakota has done it now for years with Hackstall, and now Bradbury, St. Cloud, all the teams in your conference. How do you get those egos from the guys that are thinking they're coming in being the hot shit and like the top dog into playing third line role? Like, hey, guess what? You ain't the top. You're going to be third line, fourth line guys, but to buy into your system to win. and I know hockey is different than other sports, but there are still egos that come into play.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think and it's our leadership core. You got to have a great leadership core, and I think our guys will. I think the culture that we've built here with we had a core group coming back that we're on a mission. Um, that have set the standard, and I know we rely heavily on those guys to when new guys come in to take them under their wing and show them how we do things. It starts in the summertime for sure, and summer training and everything like that. And so they'll we believe in the guys that we have in that locker room, the guys that are your quote unquote leaders to to get everyone on the same page. Certainly, so that when the season starts, in September, when we can get on the ice and practice with these guys, like it's go time, and they have an understanding of what it's going to be like. And so I think our guys are well aware of that. They're well aware of the level of which the league that we play on and how competitive it is and how hard it is. Like there's no room for excuse my language. There's no room for the BS and nonsense. Like it's it's I don't think it's as maybe as hard to get to you know uh, have a kid come in that's like you said high, and then to get them on the same page or wavelength and grounded a little bit more. I think he's going to find that out right away with our players, just being in the culture. So,
and I think our conference kind of plays into that too. Like, I'm not trying to discredit anything that he did, but Wade Allison was a guy who, like, his freshman year, he kind of came in and was like one of these guys who relied a little bit too much on talent, or there were times in a game where you could see he was relying on talent. But as he got deeper into the program and even kind of healing from his first injury, he changed his game, and he was a guy who he would rely on talent when he had to, but he would outwork players, and it was the games where he was outworking guys that were his best games. And I think it was just part of that being in this conference that's good from top to bottom, from 1 to 8, where every kid on the ice is the best kid in the league before. We're drawing that kind of talent here, and it can be a kind of a wake up call to be like, oh, you're just as good, or you were good the year before I was, and yeah, I need to develop to get back to your level kind of thing too.
And even JJ, you alluded to it, that Colgate game. I know Wes and I, we were messaging back and forth, and I was laughing because UMD was winning, and I was having the time of my life. But it's that leadership where it kind of grounds kids, where like, hey, you're not the top of the top anymore. You need to work to get there. And I think you guys, you do a really good job. Like, I'm a UMD fan first, but Wes has convinced me, and from watching you guys, I'm a Western Michigan fan second.
That's awesome. I appreciate that.
You guys have done one hell of a job with your team.
Thank you. No, that means a lot for sure. But I mean, our guys are the ones that put in the work. So I mean, we're there to guiding them and trying to help them for sure. But at the end of the day, they're the ones suiting up and making the difference. So, but they're driven. They stay driven, and they know they can't. Like going back to earlier, where our league it's just too good to take a day off or have a night off. You're gonna get embarrassed. So. You got to be ready, and I think our guys understand that, and want the challenge and accept that challenge, and we got good people in our program. So, yeah.
All right, Wes. Well,
hang on, I got one more question, and then we can do your last.
Okay, then we can do. I got 3 more now.
Oh, okay. So last question before we start wrapping up here. Western has had a little bit of success with kind of first-year goalies. The year we won the CCHA championship, Frank Slabowski came in as a rookie goaltender and ended up being the conference tournament MVP. Ben Blacker came in and had a pretty successful freshman season. This year with Brandon leaving after his junior year, we kind of don't really know where we're going as far as what's happening in the crease, but kind of like what are the realistic expectations for Western coming in and I assume there's going to be some kind of goalie battle to earn that starting position.
I mean, yeah, it's I think Bussy was obviously a great goaltender for us. I mean, Slubs was a great goalie too, and even I don't know. Obviously, I was there for just the 1 year with Slubs, so with Bussy, it's been a 3 year thing relationship with him, and he obviously suffered the one injury, but was able to bounce back
Incredibly
and
too.
got a contract out of it. So we're very happy for him. Um, and with the transfer portal stuff and things going on, yeah, we were just I don't think we anticipated maybe losing Bussy this year, and but we were with his play, it was warranted. So yeah, you kind of have to get back to the drawing board there for sure. I think we got a great we have 3 goalies that are coming in. They'll all be new, so I think it's going to be a healthy competition for sure. And I think there's a lot that each of them bring to the table, and experience, young. Just I think it's going to be interesting to see how everything shakes out, and we're excited about it. And I think that I've been able to meet all of them, and great kids, good people, and they want to get better. So when you have that, I think it makes things a little bit easier. But at the same time, it's going to be a challenge for you know, for them, and I think that they're all accepting of that challenge and want to work and seem like they are ready for it. So we'll see. Like, not sure, but I think we have 3 capable goalies that can get in there and win us hockey games. So
Oh, I lied. I actually have one more because I
and,
want to see if JJ remembers this play because it was a deadly play. So,
and then I got another one as he was talking there. So,
uh,
sorry, JJ. We kind of wing it.
uh, there was a play when we had a 5-on-3 power play for you guys. I don't remember if you remember this or not, but it was Dennis Brown and the first year I believe it was Matt Tennyson were the ones who were working the point, and you guys would send it from the right side through or past Dennis, and Matt would rip one. And I swear to God, we scored on like 80% of the times you guys tried this. Was that something that you guys still work on? And if so, who were the players in those spots?
yeah, we don't work on that. I think it was called the volleyball play. But yeah, it was something that Blash and First and those guys um, taught him. I wasn't on that power play, so but I know Tennyson was on the left with a bomb for sure. Chase Ballasy and Brownie was, I believe, the 3 up top playing catch with each other, and then the fake 1-2 from Brownie through the legs to Tenny was. Yeah, I definitely remember that. We don't run that anymore, but maybe we'll have to bring it back or something.
This
For old
team,
time's sake.
this team for sure would have been a team that could have ran it. We had 2 extremely well balanced power play units with Ethan up in the top circle, but then you had the hard shot of Joyal and uh, Fulp on one, and then you had Ronnie's cannon and on the other power play. Like I think either one of those squads definitely could have accomplished that. I think they might even have been able to pull it off in a 4-on-5 situation just with the shots and stuff they had.
Yeah, no, for sure. We definitely had a lot of weapons in our power play over the last few years. Has been really good, and credit to First. He's done a great job with that, and yeah, I mean, it helps when you have all 10 of your guys that you had the previous year come back. Um, so the chemistry was certainly there, and yeah, we had different options for sure.
Okay, I promise I'm done asking questions now. The rest of the show's Mike.
Thank God. I love US. So therefore, most of them are pretty easy. So first question: the comfort, and this I thought of this as we were talking. The comfort in your goalies with knowing that UMD, North Dakota, all the other ones are dealing kind of with the same situation. Your goaltending situation. I know Stay-Skull probably should be back for UMD. An unfortunate event for him with testicular cancer. Um, but other than that, a lot of the NCHC teams are dealing with goaltending situations. So you guys going forward, confident, see what happens. Like not trying to put you in a spot here, and obviously like screw the other guys. Yeah, we don't have any trust in any of these guys. But like just confidence wise with what you're bringing in and transfer portal, like how do you think you stack up with, especially Stay Skull is the one that I'm going to pull for because he did play in that 5 overtime game against North Dakota, and he did play about half the minutes until his testicular cancer.
Yeah. Well, I think we're extremely confident in our three goalies. We have a young guy who's no college experience, coming from juniors, who had an unbelievable junior career this year. Was a really good goalie in the Manitoba League, and almost won a championship there towards the end, but had really good numbers. And I met a good sized kid. He's a competitor. We heard a lot of great things about him from his coaches, so we're excited about him. And then obviously with the other two, with Larson and Rowe, they've been in the college ranks, and Larson being in the NCAC, so he knows how tough it is, and Rowe being in the Big Ten, playing against those teams are really good teams too. So he has the experience and playing on a big stage. So I think we're really confident with the three guys that we have, and it'll be a healthy, summer of just competition. And just, I think they're going to push each other. I think the biggest thing with goalies is having good people, good goalies that like literally they challenge each other. And I think even with not just goalies but players as well, like you're going to have guys that are sitting out every night, right? So your practice is already, it's a healthy competition every day just to get in the lineup, and it's a difficult, it's difficult, right? So I think we're super excited about our team next year. I think we're super excited in that as well, and I think those guys are going to push each other and make they're going to make each other better for sure.
I do think that's a fair answer. I think my brother is a goalie, and he also named his dog Briz after Ilya Brizgalov, and he's as weird. But I mean, that's a fair answer as far as goalie competition goes, because Wes and we might, cough and laugh at the Big Ten, but a goalie coming from the Big Ten, especially with what Motzko has done at the University of Minnesota, and then what Michigan has done these last few years, they have a couple good teams that they're not going to lay down. And look at how many draft picks Michigan had through this year. They're a good team. Okay, so question number 2: how much fun is it coaching in the NCHC? The best conference in college hockey. How much fun is it for you to be able to coach these kids, knowing how good they are, how many national championships this conference has had, and how many NHL players are produced?
Yeah. I think it's awesome, man. I've been very fortunate. Definitely fortunate to be in the position I am, and being in this league, and the success that it's had. It's been fun for sure. It's challenging. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a competitor, right? And I hate to lose. And so the coaches that are in this league are unbelievable coaches. They're really good coaches. I'm being forced to, they challenge me every day to be at my best too. And they're all really good people too. And I've had time to spend with them outside of the rink, whether it be in Naples or, just, when they come into town, I go into their town, and, I think that the coaching community that we have in the NCHC is very, we get along with each other for the most part, unless we're actually playing each other, right? So it's really good. I've learned a lot from a lot of them too, and then the players in the league, like you said, like you're coaching, you're coaching some of the best players, in the world. So that are going to be in the NHL. So that's awesome. And trying to have an impact and get them better and get them to reach their goals is something that's really rewarding for me, and being a part of. And hopefully I'm teaching them something, and yeah, they're all better than me. So, but yeah, so so certainly something that I hope I can add is, to their knowledge and to their bank or whatever, that that will help them throughout their career for sure. Is something that I hope I can do, and is certainly rewarding when they have success and sign NHL contracts or win a championship, or have the success that we did last year. Is It's certainly rewarding for sure.
I do think just when I was coaching, under my dad, they win a game. I don't even know if I did anything, but that success that helps me feel better about myself. So good for you. The last two that I have, it's technically three. One is 2-1. What is your favorite NCHC city? And one is your favorite NCHC arena that is not Kalamazoo or Lawson Arena, because we all know Lawson Arena and the crazy lunatics and Kalamazoo. So what are your two favorite places to go as far as city and then arena?
Oh, well, it's interesting because I didn't even go on the road that much last year. I only went to one road series other than the playoffs because I was recruiting. Um, so obviously I've been on the road to all those places before last year though, but in COVID the year before, we were in Omaha. And
Mm-hmm.
Omaha's a great city. I have ties there. I played in Lincoln, right? So my billet family lives there. I get to see them. My cousin actually lives in Lincoln. So every time we go to Omaha, I get to see them, and I think it's a great little spot for sure. So that might be the city I like the most, I guess, in the NCHC, to go to. Um, and then as far as the best arena to play in, other than Lawson, is that what you said?
Yep. Yep.
Um,
That's exactly what I'm saying.
oh
And don't
man,
worry, I won't get offended because no one has picked Amsoil, and I don't blame them
yeah.
at all.
Um, I think certainly the fan base in North Dakota is electric for sure. So I'd probably lean towards that one if I had to choose. Obviously, I love playing at Lawson. It's the best student section in college hockey, so
And
it's pretty special.
I hate North Dakota, but damn, do they have a good fan base. So then, last question, and this involves Wes. What was your first reaction when you saw that asshole sitting behind the net with his face painted like Sting?
Actually, JJ was there the first year I did it when I used to sit next to the penalty box.
Oh,
When
Jesus
he was a
Christ.
player is
You,
when it started.
you did not tell me this.
I
You
totally
didn't
told you that
tell
he
me
was
this.
there when it started. I didn't, if you would have paid attention to the text
But
messages.
I think it's awesome, man. He's bringing the energy. He gets the guys pumped and jacked up. So I think it's been great.
You are the first person to actually say that it's awesome, because both Trevor and Ethan said he scared the absolute living shit out of them. Trevor, even when he was playing with the K Wings, Wes went, he's like,
I was actually surprised he wasn't painted up for this show tonight. I was expecting his face to be all done up.
I mean, I could have today because I didn't have to work, but actually, I put some time into that. It usually takes me about 30 to 45 minutes to do that. Partly because I like to get it as close to right as possible.
Yeah.
And also, sometimes I start sweating and it makes it harder to deal. Like, the
That's
worst place to do it is
dedication.
hotel bathrooms,
Oh.
or my car. My car or hotel bathrooms are the two worst. There's
well,
not enough room in the car, and the hotel bathrooms get too hot.
JJ, now you have boosted his self-confidence for the next
Nah.
2 to 3 months.
That's awesome. No, it's great. I'm surprised. Like, yeah, you said you met my dad. You said that he came up to you during the Frozen, or not the Frozen, but Final Four there at the Joe. I'll have to ask him about that because he didn't say anything to me about it, but I'll have to ask him if he remembers that. It'd be funny.
Actually. Yeah, after that game, me and some friends worked our way down, and we were right behind, I think, the penalty box in the Joe too, as you guys were like hanging the banner and stuff. So there used to be a picture at one of the local bars that had stuff where it was me and a bunch of friends like right there on the glass, and you could still see my face painted. It was so hot that day that most of that melted off. Because it
was actually.
Yeah, it was such a hot
St.
Patrick's Day.
Yeah, it was. It was, yeah. No, it was. I do remember that. Because we usually walk to the rink from the hotel. So we were in our suits, and yeah, I just remember it being fairly hot out for sure.
You guys live in a weird place.
Good times.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for us. We greatly appreciate your time, and hopefully Western will continue this path of success that seems to have started with some of the teams you played for. Hopefully we'll get a championship here in the not too distant future, whatever that may be.
No.
Shut up, Michael. No. You've had enough. You can share.
No.
We'll just share between the two teams that you like. We don't have to share with anybody out further west, and we'll leave Ohio to Ohio. Miami can stay down there by themselves. But so hopefully a lot more success coming up. Good luck in this upcoming season. Good luck in the GLI that we'll actually get to play all of this year. But yeah, that'll do it for the show this week. We are on YouTube, so if you feel like it, hit like or subscribe or leave a comment. If you're on Twitch, follow the channel. We usually do this Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock ish, depending on who's here on time. Michael,
Eastern time.
Hey, it is 9 o'clock Eastern time.
I could not help it this time.
I think you could have. You just got to restart your computer every couple of days, my friend. But that'll do it for us.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know. Go ahead if you would like the final word, please.
I just appreciate you guys having me on. Nice meeting you, Mike, and thanks, Wes, for having me on for sure.
You're welcome anytime.